Well, Virgo, I'm back. So I'm not using OBS today. And so I just moved my laptop a little bit to bring y'all's cards out of the shadow. And when I did that, I guess it stretched my my camera cord a little bit. And it just like that was enough to just knock it all the way off. And with this webcam, if it gets knocked off, it doesn't come back. Now with OBS, I could just like, do all that finagling within the system, but on here anyway, I had to start over. And maybe let's take that as a message for Virgo, right? So what does that mean? Coming out of the shadow, it may trigger a little bit of disconnection. Um, and last time I talked about Virgo, I remember I said like you have to grease your own wheel and stop like worrying about everybody else's wheel or something like that. I guess though, like whenever you are sort of in a position of being so selfless and helping and kind with everyone else, to the point of maybe it's not that you're being taken advantage of necessarily, and it's not that you're not necessarily appreciated. It's just, and I'm kind of sort of, I'm in a place in my own life right now, Virgo. Let's go there, Virgo. Pisces and Virgo came out together. I'm in a place in my own life right now where I know that I can do a lot for people. And I can't get upset when I don't receive what it is that I feel like I need in that moment just because I'm so quick to try to give to everyone else. And so it's more of this need to recognize question mark that I need to redistribute how much I do and for who I do it for. And it's coming in this time where there's a lot of stuff that I need to do for myself, a lot of stuff that I am doing for myself. And because the situations and circumstances are what the situations and circumstances are right now, there's also some other things that I need to do for other people that I am obligated to do for other people right now. So whatever I'm not obligated to do right now is going to have to take a back seat to what I'm doing for me and what I'm doing for who I need to be doing what I'm doing for. And it's this opportunity at the same time, in the same vein, to begin practicing honoring my energy and honoring myself in not giving so readily in excess to what I receive. And so maybe some of that is it will resonate. It's like as we're coming into the light of who we are and as we're coming out of our own shadows. And again, like literally my cord did not disconnect. It didn't come out, but me moving my laptop was enough to get the camera to stop registering for a split second and to knock that other video down. And I literally just started it back up. And you're sitting under the Father of Swords in reverse, which could speak of not necessarily cutting ties, but it's a knowledge and an awareness of things like that, things like what I was just talking about. But we'll see. We'll get into the cards and then we'll revisit the Father of Swords and we'll see if it changes. I'm feeling called to start with your thing too. Ooh, Virgo. Oh, this is interesting. This little blot right here, right there, reminds me of a smashed pomegranate. But this smashed pomegranate, it's not eaten. And now that gives me a whole new context to that card. Why did forbidden fruit just pop into my mind? But they weren't eaten. It very much, it feels like the fates. Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. Clotho spins it, Lachesis measures it. Clotho spins it, Lachesis measures, and then Atropos cuts. And when you run to the end of your rope, that's it. This incarnation is over. But so we're talking about the myth of Persephone when it comes to Demeter and Hades. And Persephone is the daughter of Demeter, goddess of the grain and the harvest and stuff like that. Hades is, the god of the underworld. And it's like, he's more like the caretaker of the underworld. Just like Neptune is the god of the sea, Hades is the god of the underworld. It's more sort of like location based. And then Zeus is the god of everything else, or everything, kind of. And I remember there was this one series of books that I read in middle school. I don't remember the name, but when it came time to decide who would rule what, the gods picked lots because nobody wanted to rule the underworld. So they picked lots, and Hades drew the short stick, so he got stuck with the underworld. And then Persephone was basically like the one thing that he enjoyed being down there. And I think he was down there for a while before Persephone came into the picture. And but Demeter was like, well, without my daughter, girl, I'm sad and I'm lonely and ain't nothing gonna grow. But Hades was like, she's the love of my life, and I'm not gonna let her go just because you sad or whatever. You got all of Earth up there, girl. I got the underworld. I have the underworld. What joy do I have down here? And so they struck a deal, and Persephone spends half of the year with Demeter, and she spends half of the year with Hades. And when she's with Hades, then everything decays and dies on the surface, fall into the winter. And when she goes home, when there's the rebirth initially, because Demeter's like, oh my gosh, you're back, I missed you. And then it grows into the summer, and then she goes back down with Hades, and we come into another fall, and so we harvest in that time at the same time. And so there's this recognition of almost this recognition of the cycles that other people play, and then the cycles that we subsequently play. And maybe that's more of the past energy. Maybe in the past there was this energy of like us sort of like balancing out us. I'm not a Virgo. A Virgo balancing out what it does based on the moods of others around you. And it's like, okay, that's cute, whatever, you're mutable, sure, yeah. Pisces and Virgos, the axis of servitude, but girl, we ain't sacrificing our happiness for nobody no more. It's just like, that's not it anymore. That's not cute. We love ourselves too much to do that. And it doesn't mean that we're cold. It doesn't mean that we're uncaring. It doesn't mean that we're whatever, but it does mean that we are a priority in our own lives. Virgos, and whoever that applies for. And we can prioritize things and people who prioritize us, and prioritizing us more than just, oh, they need something or they're lonely, so we're going to be there. It's like, no, because, you got needs too. And hey, anyway, I say all of that for, I don't know why, because the card that came up is the Starborn, which is an aspect of the self. Pisces got 2 items. Sagittarius got a place. Virgo gets an aspect of the self, which is the Starborn, which I love for the narrative of Virgo that I'm reading for, because it's all about Virgo coming into self. And I actually, oh girl, I want to read the Starborn, but it is not a great eye day, so Virgo, bear with me. The Starborn is number 3, though. It's the child. Oh, we have the Maiden and the Starborn. It's just a sacred womb is what just popped into my mind. Sacred womb popped into my mind, but with some different words. But it translates to sacred womb. I don't know if you subscribe to star seeds, Virgo, but you might want to look into it potentially. Everybody's apparently Pleiadian, and I can get down with the Pleiadians, but for me, I'm like, love and light is nice. Love and light is really nice, but like we have to do something to get there, and just being there isn't necessarily enough to get us there. So Pleiadian energy can hold the frequency, while some other energies can do some of the finagling and the shifting and the moving to get there, right? Because it's like we need someone on the other side to hold it. It reminds me of the magicians. Whenever they transverse the mirror worlds, there's one person on the person who opens the portal has to maintain it. And if they sort of fall, or if they whatever, then the bridge collapses. Now, if you're on the other side, you get stuck on the other side. If you're on your side, then you're on your side. But if you're in the in between, nobody knows what happens to you until we find out. um, but it's giving me that energy. Like there are people on the other side, which is more of that Pleiadian energy that holds it, and then there are energies that stabilize the portal on this side, and then there are the people who sort of usher us there, or the energies that usher us from one to the other, out of this space that we're in right now. Anyway, maybe look into star seeds, Virgos, if that's something of interest to you or not. Let's read the Starborn and see what it says. Or let's try it. No, we will. We will. I can't read the keywords, but you know what? I'm gonna just, since it's only one, I'll just take a picture of them on my phone, and then I'll put the colors on my phone and I'll read it to you, Virgo. Virgo, you are worth that minor, minor, minor inconvenience. Oh, it's 12:30 in 4 minutes. It'll be 12:34. All right, let's go. So let's see if I can read this now. I can zoom in. I can flip the colors. Oh, I can. So it's the divine child, the star child, and the destined. Oh, Virgo. This is sexy. This is hot. This is like really cute. I like this. Oh, girl. Well, let's see. I probably should have. Okay, here you go. An elusive yet radiant aspect of the self. The starborn archetype points to the cosmic spark of light that arrives with each being at birth. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Here we go. The moment the newborn crowns, whether vaginally or surgically, the royal stars above are said to constellate in a unique shape that maps our path in the world. The idea of destiny is controversial, yet the starborn naturally feels a sense of destination and purpose, aiming itself toward a future that is beyond the mundane. Sorry, that part was red, so it's blue. Um, when this card appears, travel back to your birth story for clues and insight. What did you desire when you were young? Question mark. Practice seeing your life from a mythic point of view rather than as a series of logistics. And rather than a series of logistics. Okay, but logistics, Virgo, don't do that. Read the story of the three fates. Oh my gosh, the three fates. The three fates. Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. Girl, okay, so I'm not completely. I love when I get little confirmations like that, because it's like, okay, I'm not completely off when I'm just rambling about mythology and whatever. Read the story of the three fates and envision yourself born under the star with a unique destiny. Hold up, wait. Born under the stars with a unique destiny. I'm not gonna read all the other extra stuff because, girl, we struggled through that enough. But let's look it up real quick, and it's 12:33 right now. It's 12:33. Let's see if I catch 12:34. I'm not gonna look at it, but if I happen to catch it, which means I might look at it, then I'll happen to catch it. The three fates, and then so you have the three fates, and then you have the three furies. Now the furies I don't remember, but I don't remember their names. But they were harpy-like people who were 12:34. There it was. I just saw it go from 12:33 to 12:34. There you go. 12:34. Boom. Basically the dishers out of karma, I think, were the furies. And I used to know their Latin name, but I don't remember anymore. In Greek religion and mythology, the Morai, often known in English as the Fates, Fata in Latin, were incarnations of destiny. Oh, look, the thread, the dove, the spindle, and scissors are the Horai. I wonder if it's the Horai. Clotho, Atropos, and Lachesis. Yep. Okay, those were the three. I thought so. Let's see the Horai though. Those were the three fates. And Pisces got the thread, didn't they? Yeah, Pisces got the thread, and then the fates comes out for Virgo in the Starborn. Seasons were the goddesses of the seasons and the natural portions of time. Oh, I didn't know they had goddesses of the seasons, but I guess I should have, right? How did I miss those? I had to know that. I had to know that. Hold on, wait, maybe not. Either the trio of Phallo, Oxo, and Carpo, goddesses of the order of nature, or Eunomia, goddess of good order and lawful conduct, and her sisters Irene and the goddess of justice. Let's look into the goddess of justice. Dice. I'll say Dice or Dike. Is the goddess of justice and the spirit of moral order and fair judgment, based on immortal custom in the sense of socially enforced norms and conventional rules. According to Hesiod, she was fathered by Zeus upon his second consort, Themis. She and her mother are both personifications of justice. She is depicted as a young, slender woman carrying a balance scale and wearing a laurel wreath. The constellation Libra, the scales, was anciently thought to represent her distinctive symbol. So we got Nike, and then we have Dike, I guess. And Nike is the goddess of what? Victory? So victory and judgment. Irene and Eunomia are her sisters, but also related to the Morai, which is the fates. The Roman equivalent of her is Justitia. Justitia? I don't know, girl. Or guy, or whoever. So anyway, there's a lot of energy here, Virgo. There's the energy of justice. There's the energy of the fates. There's almost, so it's a different side of the Piscean sort of story, I believe, but it's still similar. And with the Father of Swords, on the Pisces side, I feel like it was a lot of self-introspection, and it was about Pisces seeing how Pisces limits self. But on the Virgonian side, it's more external. And I don't want to say it's more this energy of you realizing, recognizing, noticing, seeing, trusting in, believing, and forgiving yourself for maybe sacrificing more than what you would at this point in time. Has to be my mother. Yep, that's my mom. I'll tell her I'll call her back in a second. See, if I would have pre-recorded this, I could have finished up Virgo and then just paused it and moved on to Gemini. But that's not the case. Hello? All right, I'm back again, Virgo. I accidentally picked up the phone instead of not. But I had to do something real quick. Obligations I have right now. I have obligations to some people, and then I have obligations to myself. And for everything else, it has to fall in wherever it's prioritized at that moment. Because, girl, lots of stuff is happening. Lots and lots and lots of things happening. Anyway, back to this Starborn Virgo. With the Father of Swords in reverse, I feel like this is more you sort of. Let me make sure I lock the door real quick. One moment, please, Virgo. Sorry for all of the distractions and interruptions. Oh, I did not. So it's a good thing I checked. So I feel like this is more you seeing things, and I think I kind of mentioned it earlier again, and it's not maybe ways that you've sacrificed personal happiness and momentum and movement for something or someone else. And if you are a little hard on yourself for that, then I feel like it's not for you to be. But it does almost feel like an energy of forgiving yourself, right? Maybe you're like, man, if I wouldn't have put up with that for as long as I put up with that for, then I could have been doing this and I could have been doing that and I could have taken this opportunity and that opportunity. And at the end of the day, it's not about that. If we talk about the three fates, and even if we talk about the birth chart, right, born under the stars that give you a unique destiny, then that's all a part of it, right? And it's like when we look at certain epics and we look at certain stories, it's like the hero doesn't necessarily live, or the heroine doesn't necessarily live a glamorous life all the time from start to finish, right? There may be a period of difficulty, or there's a period of being overlooked, or there's a period of not fully being itself, but then something happens one day that either stirs something within you or gives you the opportunity to rise. And I feel like with the Starborn, with this egg, I feel like you haven't even begun yet, really, to even begin to experience all the things that you're going to experience. That's so funny. I had a feeling that somebody would be coming today. And they are. Goodness. But it's like you haven't even hatched yet, right? So even if we talk about birds, like there's a period where they come out with like maybe no feathers or whatever, and then they get the little feathers, they get the downy feathers, and then you get your actual flying feathers before you have to leave the nest. And like there's so much, but you're still in the egg right now. But to get out of the egg for the bird may be potentially one of the most difficult things it will ever do. Because I mean, there's the period where it's maturing, sure, but after that, it's free to fly, right? Now, birds still gotta eat. So if all the worms disappear, then maybe they'd be stressed and like, "Ooh, getting out of the egg was easy compared to this, whatever." Physically, but the egg is broken from the inside. It's not broken from the outside. And so, Virgo, this is something that you have to do for you. Again, with the Father of Swords in reverse, I feel like there's this need almost to recognize the jewel and the gem within self, if we're talking about Persephone and everything that I was talking about on the other channel earlier today. So it's interesting that it came up Virgo. Um, but it's this need to liberate the self. Now let's get some clarification on this. Oh my gosh. Well, Virgo, look at that. You got the star. The starborn, the star that you're born under. Like, what? What? That's wild. Okay. Um, maybe look at your birth astrology. Maybe look at Vedic and tropical sidereal. Maybe even your draconic chart. I don't know. Uranian astrology is a thing that looks at like midpoints or something like that. I was exposed to it, but I never got full into it. Um, but honestly, it feels like these things that you sort of hold inside. This I feel like this is a very Piscean energy for Virgo. And I felt that even in the beginning. And so with Virgo, I feel like with Pisces, the challenge comes with like realizing those dreams and maybe actually putting in the work to make them a reality. And so maybe like getting a little business savvy and doing all of these things that like would bore an artist or a creative. But the logistics need to be taken care of in order to make it something able to proliferate. But on the Virgo side, I feel like there's just this energy of like really allowing yourself to be all of who you are. There's an openness that Virgo is coming into. And again, in the beginning, I said like Virgo is the gateway to Earth. And so it's almost like once you can begin to make these internal shifts, and maybe you already are. So once you continue making these internal shifts, it really starts to echo out into your experience. And it's almost like, again, if we're talking about the people on, since I brought up the Pleiadians, um, then it's like really, and that's what I said for mutable energies. Like we need to stake our claim and we need to be fixed in that. But we also need to be cardinal in some ways as well. And so it's like really allowing yourself to come into this new space and anchor yourself in that space to allow everything else to shift in that way. And it almost feels like Virgo being mutable earth is holding that space for the collective in an element that's so fixed, right? And it's interesting that it's not Capricorn if I really think about it, but it feels like Virgo. And maybe because Virgo is Mercury and Capricorn is Saturn, that it's like, okay, well, Saturn is not too far from Earth energy. And Taurus is fixed Earth. So, that's not going to be it. Virgo coming out with the majors. The next card is the Tower. And then last is the Hierophant in reverse. Virgo's got three majors. Oh my gosh. Are these the only majors we've. No, because Sagittarius got the Fool and the Empress with the Daughter of One. So Sagittarius got some majors as well. But I mean, Virgos are upright. Sorry, not that I'm comparing. I'm just trying to think. What did Pisces get? Well, Pisces only got two. It was the Ten of Swords upright and the Two of Pentacles in reverse. So Virgo's coming out with the majors, the Star and the Tower. But the Star comes after the Tower if we go in order. But with the Hierophant in reverse, that's saying screw the order, screw fixed earth Hierophant type energy. I'm going to do something in a new way. Maybe there is some limitation with family or with a familial space that keeps Virgo from exploring all of who Virgo is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be family. It's just some kind of institution or organization or something like that. Some kind of structure is a little bit oppressive to, maybe I should say suppressive. Some kind of order is a little bit suppressive to Virgo really claiming all of this star. And there's this energy of sacrifice in the past and this question of sacrifice in the future. And how much Virgo is going to sort of willingly do. Now, when Virgo becomes a priority for Virgo, then there's a whole lot of sacrifice that Virgo probably won't necessarily be doing too much of in the future, like self-sacrifice. Right, Libra can be the martyr. A whole bunch of signs can be the martyr. It's about justice. That energy of what was her name? Dike. I feel so bad saying it. Oh, maybe they had a little button where it pronounced it, but it's that energy of justice related to the fates. But anyway, it's like the star is coming before the tower now instead of the star coming after the tower. And for me, that just solidifies again how Virgo needs to sort of do it within self and to allow it to be done and before it happens. And maybe that's the part that's a little bit more Piscean, but I don't think it's exclusive to Pisces necessarily, especially with Virgo being on the other side of that pole. Um, it's really believing it. And maybe with the Father of Swords in reverse as well, it's about Virgo coming into the space of exploring and believing things and expanding in ways that it didn't allow or permit itself to in the past. And that's again why this Hierophant is in reverse. I really do feel like the Hierophant in reverse is tied to the Father of Swords in reverse for some reason. But then again, that would just be these limitations that we put on the self because we don't know how it is that we'd fit in under this umbrella of whatever the organization is or whatever is acceptable in the family or whatever, right? And it did justice, right? Or it said something about norms and societal conventions, right? It said the goddess of justice and the spirit of moral order and fair judgment based on immemorial custom in the sense of socially enforced norms and conventional rules. So again, there is this thread that is running in all of this. So I'm extra appreciative of it because, girl, getting up, going to the bathroom, coming back, losing a video, having to start a new one. It works. It works. Talking about Clotho, Lakitas, and Atropos. I didn't mention the fates. I'm like, oh, snap. Still haven't looked into the Furies, but that's okay. But I think that's where I'm going to end this for Virgo. I think these are getting a little bit longer every time, but it's fine. It's fine because I'm not going to cheat anybody, even though there is some stuff that I need to start doing. That's fine. Because that's the thing about time is that we always find it. And when we don't, we create it. And we may not even be conscious of the fact that we create time. Because it's this outside of 12 into the 12 type of energy. Um, the time that we create still falls under the clock that we live under. The time that we create still falls on the calendar. It finds a place. And I feel like something about that is like this. I feel like that's this energy. The time that we create still falls on the calendar and it's still counted on the clock, even though we've created it. I don't know what that means, but like Virgo is the starborn, so I feel like it's not for me to know what it means. It's like, oh, this one's like uniquely Virgo, little Pisces. Hashtag not yours. Hashtag get your out on this one. But I love it. I love it. Okay. So last but certainly not least, never the least, the third in the race, Gemini. First mutable sign, prime mutable. I thought about that the other day. Like the mutable elements through zodiac order would be fire and water, fixed element earth, mutable element air, because Aries, cardinal, fire, Taurus, fixed earth, Gemini, mutable air, and then Cancer, cardinal water. We have more elements than modalities. But we do say that everything comes from the union of fire and water. We get earth and air from that. So, air is the part that sort of evolves. Earth is the ash that remains. Excuse me. Anyway, this timestamp this for Gemini. Ooh, Virgo. I did not timestamp Virgo, but we started with Virgo. So wait, I'm gonna keep this on here even though it's the end of the video. And then I'll also link this video in the description of the first video. So goodness gracious. How did that happen? 38:16. So Gemini, this is where we start for you. I went through oh my gosh, you guys. I was gonna do the final shuffle after every one. I said that I was gonna do that and then I forgot. So this is what we're gonna do. Pisces and Sagittarius won't get one. And I'm actually gonna go back for Virgo since I remembered before Virgo. And that's what we're gonna do. So even though I've said Gemini, if the Virgos stick with me, then y'all stick with me. If the Virgos don't stick with me, then y'all didn't stick with me, and it's fine. But this is going to be the post shuffle for Virgo, or Virgo, Pisces, and Sagittarius. Nah, just Virgo. And we'll see what comes out. Oh, I ain't got too much extra time. Oh, that was quick. And it fell right on top of transformation. Bottom of the deck is the Father of Wands in reverse. The card that came out is the Devil in reverse. With the Sun in reverse also? I feel like with the Father of Wands in reverse and the Devil in reverse, it feels like an energy of like fire's not that hot. And Virgo's no longer going to be afraid to get burned. Because what's really important is that Virgo takes care of Virgo. Maybe in the past there was someone who has a particularly domineering type of energy with that fire, the Father of Wands. Who is this? Alethea? Yep, Alethea is truth. And maybe in a lot of ways, it's someone who can be very domineering and sort of getting what it is that they want. Father of Wands is a Leo energy. Father of Wands in reverse, Father of Swords in reverse, Father of Cups in reverse. Is the Father of Pentacles in reverse? Who knows? But I feel like it kept Virgo from doing or pursuing whatever it is that Virgo wanted to do. It's like, and again, I can't remember if I mentioned it or not. I'm pretty sure I did, Virgo. It's like you kind of sort of vibing with whoever else's mood, right? Oh, if they're in a good mood, then, we'll be happy. If they're not in a good mood, then everyone's going to be miserable. But it's like, okay, Virgo's like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. Because it's time for me to be invested in my own happiness, regardless of whatever mood that somebody else is in. Because if I'm waiting for other people to get in the right mood, and this one person, it'll never happen. Potentially. Okay, there we go. Cool. Oh, agape. Look at that. Agape coming out for Virgo. That's cute. But I feel like that agape is unconditional love for self. And it's after Virgo learns to love self more unconditionally, then it will trickle out into the world around you. But not necessarily in a specific type of way. It's like the agape love that you have for self with that star energy is what triggers the tower. And the Hierophant, it causes Hierophant energy to go in reverse. It's a releasing and a relaxing of limitations and borders. I don't know why borders. Borders and boundaries, I guess. Maybe there are like borders that Virgo held within self, like, oh, I would never do this and I would never do that, or I would never allow myself to do this or allow myself to do that because it's not very practical in a 3D way, like, oh, there's not really a market for this, or it doesn't pay that well, or like it's so selective, like I'd never get it or whatever. But something about Virgo is very, very, very special that you get the star born and the star. Hello. Love that energy. And that's what I got for those. So Gemini, now we can start with Gemini. So I said Gemini earlier, but hey, if a Virgo stuck around, this is where y'all start. If a Gemini is still here, then hey, it could be for you too. 43:07. Hey, Gemini, you're starting at a 7-7. Hey, 43 is a 7, and a 7 is a 7. So let's get into this. Gemini, sitting under the 6 of Cups. What could that be about? It could be the space of inner child healing. But it feels, for Gemini, it's something about the environment that you grew up in, or an environment that you developed in some way. And we're always developing, right? I developed into more of a leader when I discovered my leadership style when I became an RA and then I became a supervisor. And the environment that I developed that part of me in was one that was very conducive to me being able to be who I am and still be a leader and not having to sacrifice like my compassion or empathy in favor of something more absolute and sort of authoritative, right? And it was actually valued and respected, believe it or not. Um, but that's the environment that I developed that side of me in, right? And then there was also when I came more onto my spiritual path, the environment that I developed my spirituality in was an environment of self and with self. It was me in my room, meditating, doing all kinds of stuff, coming across certain information, but not really like putting all of that on something outside of me, which for me helped a lot because I feel like depending on who we find and what state we were in when we found them, sometimes we can be overly dependent on a person or a system, or we can overly accredit certain spiritual things to them. And it's not that we don't like miss people or whatever, but again, it's like when it comes to certain things, we shouldn't hold any person responsible for that because people are inherently people and we're all human. But anyway, it's something that Gemini was part of Gemini's environment in a developmental space. Could be actual childhood, could be coming into whatever, right? Maybe you're a Gemini with a career. When you started your career, the environment was a certain type of way, and that's how you've been doing it for as long as you've been in that career. But now, because of everything, we're needing to shift and pivot and adapt to the situations at hand. And so maybe there are some things that we do in brand new ways that don't necessarily translate into the work from home space as much as it did in the office space. And it's about letting that go or just seeing it for what it is. We'll see if we need to let it go or not. Because I don't know, Jimmy. Maybe it's good and maybe you hold on to it. Maybe it evolves and you take pieces of it and you upgrade the rest. Or maybe you just throw it away and get something new. I actually want to do the middle card first. Ooh, 10 of pennies. Okay, Gemini. With the Sun of Swords and Justice in reverse. Ten of Pentacles could definitely be about career. I mean, this could be about a career change. I mean, honestly, with the Ten of Pentacles, the Sun of Swords, and Justice in reverse, it could be like you were established or you thought you were going to be established. Something that is like we're in this developmental space and we saw something as a prime example of where we wanted to be at the end, or we had a certain end destination in mind. But with a piece of seemingly unfortunate news, I feel like things have the potential to fall apart. Maybe we thought we were going to get a promotion or something, and it comes out that we don't actually get it, or someone else gets it, or talking about that boss ended up taking what was supposed to be ours, right? But again, like, we wouldn't necessarily know that unless we knew that. Maybe somebody slips up one day, and like maybe there was like this separation or something happened, and you're like, okay, like I really thought that that I was gonna get that, but that's fine. And you're like, oh, cool. But then one day, someone like it just so happens to come out in some way that you were slighted, and you feel very not. You feel like wronged in some way. Now, could that be the case? Yes, on a grander scale, because this with forgiveness and truth, it kind of sort of is about grander scales, and everything happens for a reason. And if we believe that everything happens for a reason, then how do we interact with that truth that we hold? Then it's like it's almost like, what does the closing of one door open us up to? Or what does, with the Six of Cups in reverse, this could be something not bad, right? Maybe you developed in a space that actually brings you developed in a space that gives you a skill or that adds to your value, but it may add to your value in a way that you always thought it detracted, right? Let's say that you're from a not great area. And so you went to school, or you had this job that turned into a career, and you were able to move up the ladder, and now you're in this more corporate space, or you've elevated in some way from where it was that you started. But every now and then, or sometimes, or maybe this opportunity is going to come your way, you may feel that because of where you've come from, or because of where you started, that you're not necessarily deserving of where it is that you're going, and so you find ways to sabotage something. And maybe this is like a pattern. Maybe like you get this amazing opportunity that will completely turn your life around, and then something or someone, if you have a someone in your life who does this, reminds you of where you've come from. And so then, with justice in reverse, it psychs you out of it. You don't feel good enough, and you sabotage in one way or another. You don't hold on to it. But it's like, what you don't see is how the particular environment that you grew up in, at least at the very least, number one, how it can motivate someone in that environment or in an environment like that to also achieve beyond what was deemed um, like suitable for them. But I feel like you also don't see the different ways that that actually benefits you, because there's something about your experience that could potentially bring justice to a situation or a space that didn't have any. And even if it's not justice, it's just like something that people would ordinarily overlook, right? But you have the experience to know that that's not necessarily the case, right? Or maybe people don't even think that like it affects or impacts people in a certain way, right? But then you're like, oh no, like I have firsthand personal experience that it actually does have these effects. But because you're able to bring it up, not only does it put you in a position for some kind of elevation into, let's say, a role where we're looking at how what we do impacts people, if we're talking about career, even if we're not talking about career, but it also opens the door to improving things in that space as well. I feel like Gemini is like really discrediting itself in some way with the Six of Cups in reverse. But it's like you're not seeing how that really benefits you, having started where you started. I don't know. Gemini? Let's see what this is. Oh, I remember this. It's number 38, which is an 11. The bridge. The bridge. Bridge of love. What is that from? Bridge of love. I don't remember. Hold on, wait. I want to look it up real quick. Oh, it's 110. It's been almost 2 hours in total because it was 1:11. Bridge. Oops. Bridge. Uh, what is Bridge of Spies? You know? Oh, Bridge of Love Locks. Bridge of Love Ukraine. Bridge of Love Paris. It's that bridge where everyone goes and like there's a fence that people put the locks on. Oh, I saw something on Tumblr. Speaking of Tumblr, there was these two dudes, and there's this one French dude, and there was this one dude. They were in front of a Christmas tree, and the French dude was wearing, I think, a Santa Claus hat. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe I'm just projecting the Santa Claus hat on this story because I know it was a Christmas tree, and it was like a blue Christmas tree, one of those like plastic ones that are obviously fake because we don't have blue trees. Anyway, Gemini, I'm rambling. Um, and so anyway, the one dude was on the phone, and he's like, he thinks that we're still going to be boyfriends in 2 years. And then the French dude was like, what did you just say? And he was like, what? Do you like really want this to go for another 2 years? And he was like, of course I do. I love you. Like, I want this to go forever. And then he said something in French, and he was like, what do you mean? And then the dude was saying something, acting kind of nonchalant, and he was like upset. So he didn't like push the tree, but he was like, you're going to talk to me right now. He's like, what are you talking about? And then he's like, I'm saying that I want to be your husband in 2 years. And then it was like, oh, okay. And Prince dude's eyes got so wide. See, and it's 112. I missed 111. That's fine. And it was like, see, stuff like that. In the end, it's like, oh, okay, like you got me. There was this other prank. I was listening to Bill Hader on Jimmy Fallon, and he was talking about how dude had like a Bowie knife, and then somebody in props had a retractable Bowie knife, and how they waited for like an hour for this dude because somebody told them to stop playing with the Bowie knife, and so they waited for an hour for this dude to come back and to be like, "You're still playing with the knife," and he ran up and like stabbed dude with the retractable knife, but the dude was like, "Why?" Right? And it's like, I don't know, like at the end of the day, like someone wants to marry you, they want forever with you, or you're still alive, so like you didn't actually die or you didn't break up, but at the same time, it's like, is that really necessary? And that's as far as we're going with Bridge of Love because I don't think I'm going to see that. But I mean, I don't think Gemini energy is necessarily prankster energy, but Gemini energy can be prankster energy. I guess it could be a little. I don't want to say. I mean, it's anyway. With the bridge, that's what I was talking about. Gemini energy. It's like it's going to be able to bridge something based off of this, or the bridge is just like that thing of like it is possible for you to bridge the gap between where you started and where you want to end up, but you have to maintain that bridge. And I feel like that's it for Gemini. I feel like it's relatively short. I feel like I don't really have anything more to say, so I won't say anything more. So Gemini, you're actually going to get the final shuffle, and maybe that's why it was so short. Well, no, you're not. Sorry. I lied. I'm still gonna do the final shuffle. I didn't think I was gonna do the final shuffle, but I am because there are still cards on the table. So, but this will close out whatever for Gemini that I probably didn't mention or that didn't come out before. Oh, High Priestess at the bottom. So from the Wild Unknown. Let's see. What was that? Ooh, Six of Pentacles in reverse almost came out. I don't want the Six of Pentacles in reverse, so we're gonna give this one more of these. Ooh, and look. Now the Magician goes in reverse because I didn't want the Six of Pentacles in reverse. Oh, and the Magician is Mercury, so that is Gemini and Virgo energy. It was Jupiter in the last video. It's maybe I'll put that like Jupiter and then Mercury. Jupiterian ruled. Okay, so for Gemini. Don't sell yourself short, Gemini, or don't sell someone else short. Humble beginnings, but it's not about where you start, right? Because anybody can start anywhere, and everything has to start somewhere. Maybe Gemini doesn't get a message. Okay, I'll put these over. Ooh, Ace of Swords with the father. Ooh, wait, is he upright? I'm gonna say the Father of Pentacles is upright, and all the other fathers are in reverse. So we'll do it. 3, 1, see, 2, 3. Just like me. Don't work until it get a deadline. 3 of Wands is in reverse. Now that's interesting because when I went looking for the 10 of Wands for Sagittarius, the 3 of Wands was in reverse right behind it. And some other card was there. I don't remember. The card that came out is the 5 of Cups. With the 3 of Swords behind the 3 of Wands in reverse. For some Geminis, I feel like that could be just not even being able to see it for yourself. Because the 3 of Wands in this deck has a message that's very opposite the 3 of Pentacles. The 3 of Pentacles is all about the space of things that we can't do alone, that we need someone else to accomplish because it's a task that is that momentous. But the 3 of Wands is all about the things that we have to do for ourselves. And so Gemini, it's like no one else can do this for you. You can't love. And maybe that's a message for you, Gemini, or that's a message for someone dealing with a Gemini. It's like you can't love into anybody. You can't like love somebody so hard that they love themselves and they start to do things for themselves and they no longer discredit themselves or their humble beginnings. That's something that we all have to find in ourselves, and maybe that can hold true for Virgo too. If I got a Virgo still watching, you can't. It's like you can't sacrifice to the point of doing something for someone else, hoping that eventually they will do for themselves, or eventually you got to do for you. So yeah, I mean it's kind of rough, but it's like other people can't do this for you, Gemini, or you can't do this for somebody else. As much as badly as we want to, we can't. It doesn't work like that. So, well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. What card is this? Ooh, the Temple. The Temple is number 39. Yep, 39. It's very green. All you can do is pray. Bottom of the deck is the bridge. Temple bridge. Bridge temple. Temple rhyme. Temple bridges. I don't know. The temple. The temple is a sacred space. It's a space of prayer, reverence, and worship. I feel like though the temple, it's about finding peace within whatever. It reminds me of what's the thing where it's like, here's the church, here's the steeple, inside is the tiny people or something like that. There's the church, there's the steeple, here's all the tiny people. And it's almost this energy about creating a sanctuary within the storm. But from the space of sanctuary, it grows something. Like there's something that can only grow in the storm. And that's why if your beginnings or if whatever space you developed in was a little chaotic, it's almost like navigating that chaos. It's like something about that storm is necessary for whatever to grow, right? There are certain things that only grow in certain environments, just like the pomegranate in the underworld. And it's almost like at the same time, there's something within Gemini that would only grow through this space of hardship. And that kind of sort of holds true to a lot of people, right? We don't know how strong we are until we have to be that strong. I guess the Six of Cups in reverse could also be us sort of realizing that what we thought in the past wasn't as great as we thought it was. It could be the energy of rose-tinted glasses, and also the energy of like something that we kind of sort of thought as normal until we get out in the world. We don't see it as anything other than. And I was almost ready to pull cards, and I was like, wait, I haven't timestamped the final message yet. But that's fine. I'll timestamp it here. Or no, I'll keep talking. Oh, look, the egg, the initiate. What Virgo I got still watching? Little starborn children. For the children is it. Oh, look, I forgot. I didn't even put that card back. But that's what it is. It's something that grows in this sacred space. It's almost the growth of an imperturbable sacred space because of everything that's happened. Oh, that's a lot. Well, the Six of Wands is still here, or the Six of Cups is still here in reverse. So the Two of Wands, the Moon in reverse, the Father of Swords in reverse, and the Six of Cups in reverse. This is Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, and Scorpio, which is Mars between Aries and Scorpio. So just Mars in general. And Mars, oh, Two of Wands upright. It's the only card upright. Mars just went direct, didn't it? Now, Mars didn't quite hit the first decan of Aries. So for Gemini, again, it's just, I feel like there's this energy of not seeing how blessed you were or are. And it's almost like you can't see it because, especially if you come from a space of comparing yourself to others, but it's like there's something that you have going for you almost because of that, but maybe more accurately because of your ability to come out of it. Okay. I don't know. I mean, something about the temple is holy. And you know, the thing about the temple is what is said between you and God, or whatever you believe in or worship or don't, stays between you and God and whatever you believe in, worship or don't. Right? So if you were in that sort of precarious situation, if you were in that space, it's almost like your prayers are being answered with that bridge. The way out is being made available to you. But as long as you view the self as unworthy or as a misfit, then it's like that you will continue to manifest rejection from that space. Uh-oh. All right, so that's what I got here, and I'm going to move into the final shuffle and see how much of this I get shuffled out before I gotta step outside. Maybe I'll finish, maybe I won't. You know, we leave it up to whoever, and we see. So, final shuffle. 1:6:6. I gotta put the zeros in there later because I didn't say zero. Oh, breakthrough at the bottom of the deck. Love that I stopped there. So we'll start with the Magical Dimensions Oracle cards and activators. So mutable signs. This is what I had for you. I'd say overall, again, with the trust and forgiveness is about accepting the past for some of us. And I feel like it's more about accepting the limitations of the past and that they don't define our trajectory in the future. Like, we're mutable for a reason, mutable signs. Like, if anyone can turn, it's almost like we're the alchemizers, you know, in the in-between space. It's what happens at the bardo. It's what happens at that liminal space in between. One thing transforming into another. So, final message from the throat portal. Speak that truth, free your mind, and the rest will 43 and 40. Utopia at the bottom of the deck. Utopia. Now that is some gorgeous energy. Utopia is peace, serenity, and paradise. But the throat portal is here. The throat portal is speak your truth, courage, and suppression. it's like there's this energy of like you have not because you ask not. There's this energy of things that need to be expressed. There's an energy of decay because we don't breathe life into it. And there's this energy of almost it's this yes.
Okay. Is anybody else supposed to come? Mookie just left.
No, that was it.
Okay. She said, "Don't forget to punch your phone."
Okay, Mama does that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back, y'all. Usually I mute my mic, but I was drinking water. It's like this energy of you have not because you ask not, and the things that can't be spoken will never be received. Right? Like if we can't even say to ourselves or admit to ourselves that this is something that we want, then how do we expect to ever allow ourselves to receive it or to manifest it, or not manifest it, but to receive it when it does come in? Hey, it's in here. I thought it was outside. I was like, oh, I don't know where that book is. And utopia is what lies on the other side. Like Father of Swords in reverse, Father of Cups in reverse, Six of Cups in reverse with Judgment in reverse. Very much like a past still holding on to the present, or feeling like the past has some kind of say over the present when it doesn't really, especially for mutable signs. Like, come on, like, we're mutable. Hello? It's in our energy to close one and open another. So let's see what this deck has to say. Final message, please, from the wild unknown. From Le Wild Unknown. See? That's why I had the thought to lock the door. I was like, wait, did I lock my door? I was like, no. What is that? Because I was like, oh, I feel like somebody's going to come today. And then I got a call that, hey, somebody's coming today. And then I was like, oh, wait, did I lock my door? And what's really wild is I forgot to grab my keys yesterday. Now, I'm at home and I never need my keys. But for some reason, I was getting ready to go out and I was like, oh, I should grab my keys. And I was like, no, I shouldn't need them. I come back home and guess what? I needed my keys. So maybe that's why today I was like, you know what? I'll just listen. Let me just listen. There we go. Ooh. Well, speak of the bottom of the deck is the Four of Wands in reverse with the Magician in reverse. Magician in reverse with the Four of Wands in reverse tells me that the work for this thing has already been done. So what we're working towards right now is, instead of manifesting something, we're working towards being in the space of receiving it. And what does it mean to receive the things, or to be in a space to receive the things that we've been manifesting? What does our life look like? What does our heart look like? What does our mind look like? Are we in a space to receive what it is that we've been manifesting? Honestly, that's like the big question. The other stuff is like dissecting it in ways that we don't. It would be helpful if we're not ready to know which area maybe that we're not ready in. The throat portal did precede this, so it probably would be in a swordsy way. It's in the thoughts, it's in the mind, it's in our ability to perceive, not even perceive, but our ability to express truth. Because maybe what we're coming into requires a whole lot of expression. And if we're not willing to do it, then I don't know. And that's interesting because when I was shuffling, I was like, I saw the Six of Pentacles in reverse. And I was like, oh, I don't want the Six of Pentacles in reverse. And then when I cut the deck and I shuffled it, then I was like, oh, but now the Magician is in reverse. And the Magician came out in reverse. But again, with that message, I feel like it's just stating that, who is this? Oh, the heart. The heart is under the bridge. Aww. It came out. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But yeah, it's about receiving more than it is sort of doing right now. It almost feels like, oh look, there's the poet with the bridge. It almost feels like everything that needs to be done has already been done or has been put in motion. And it's like the season for putting things in motion isn't necessarily here. It's more of a season of receiving. December, the month that we're coming into, that's funny. It oh, I need to count. I need to count those to make sure I didn't lose one. What is this? The Crone and the Self. That's interesting. With the riddle at the bottom of the deck in reverse. So if you saw me on the, oh, well, now it's on the table. Well, there's Alethea, which is the truth. Because the riddle is on the table now. If you saw me on my other channel, the Crone came out today, and the heart looked like that same underworld type of theme, right? And so I feel like this is about, what numbers do we have? We have 29, 13. The Crone is number 13. I didn't even catch that. And then we have 53. 29 is an 11, 13 is a 4, 53 is an 8. 8 and 4 is 12. So there is a 12 and an 11 here. And we had 10, 11, 12 earlier. Now, with the Crone, the riddle, and the Self, there's this energy, and I'm glad that this came out for mutable signs, because I feel like it makes sense for mutable signs. There's almost this energy of, it's like retreating to the self and coming out different. But it's like this thing that we do without really thinking about it. It's this thing that we do effortlessly, right? As different situations and different people draw out different strengths or even different weaknesses if we're triggered. But it's like the our ability to do that, our ability to be mutable, even in the same space sometimes, to occupy it in a different way. Our ability to grow and our ability to evolve, but also our ability to, the fact that we have the capability to act as if we haven't grown or evolved, even when we have grown and evolved, is also something miraculous, right? Because like once a caterpillar is a butterfly, it doesn't go back to being a caterpillar. But with humans, it's almost like we have the ability to put on these things of old, even when we've outgrown them. And it's not always great, but it is still like pretty, like, I guess we can't look like babies anymore, right? No. With filters and other kinds of things digitally, maybe we can. But again, it's this energy of these, it's like navigating paradox and contradiction, and how navigating contradiction in itself is something that is so almost in some ways mind blowing. Because if we look at certain entities, especially when it comes to angels and demons, and like a lot of demons were once angels, it's like there are these principalities, there are these concepts, there are these sort of absolutes that are or are not, that can't be both. But everything down here, or at least us in our incarnations, we have the ability to hold multiple aspects at the same time. Somebody yesterday said, it was Tyler Oakley, in a video, he said, I believe outside of some exceptions that people aren't as good as their greatest thing and they're not as bad as their worst. Also, I saw something recently that was like, it is the wise one or the sage who accepts that contradiction is a part of life and a part of reality. And there's the Crone. But it's almost like, again, our ability to, that's interesting, because I feel like if we look at, oh, this is a place I don't usually go. I go here. I feel like if if we look at certain deities or certain energies, we sort of see them as closer to the source, right? We think demons are lower. I guess people are in the middle, and then angels are above them, and closer to the source. But it's almost in some ways we're actually closer to the source because we hold that ability to be multiple or to be many things at once. And it's duality and contradiction that makes everything work. I don't know, something within that holds some kind of key to something. Bottom of the deck is the truth. It holds a truth, right? It's both black and white. It's not either. It's both. But in the space of it being both black and white, we get the gradation between them, right? Because it is both black and white, we get all of the different colors in the spectrum. Oops. Which is awesome. Because I guess like without the black, everything would be white. Right? But it's again because we have both black and white. Now we get some reds, which is the lower part, and we get some purples, which is the higher part, and we get everything in between. And some creatures like the mantis shrimp, they can see colors that we don't even see, which is interesting. But I guess I shouldn't be surprised that such a grand concept came through in the space of the archetype. I don't know. That is weird. But hey, it's all about mutable signs over here lately. It's all about some mutable signs. Okay, now we're moving over to the SKT. Even though, oh, there's a tower. Even though I only use it for significators, I still will take a final message. I need to get busy. We create time, like I said before. As long as we're acting in alignment, it's almost like sometimes the time creates itself. Because there are so many concepts that sort of limit us in a way down here, but it's only because we are where we are that we suffer, that we feel those limitations. Have I eaten yet today? I don't even think I've eaten yet. Oh, that card almost came out. Final message from the SKT, please. If I get 2 cards, I can eat them. And I got 2 cards. Let's go. Oh, look what's at the bottom of the deck. It's that egg. Everyone gets an egg. We are all starborn, but Virgo is just extra destined. I'm just kidding. The initiate, which is the green man fool, the fresh out, the not even out the egg yet fool. All elements represented: fire, earth, air, water, and life, spirit, ether. Now, oh, well, look at that. Temperance came back out, the angel and the page of swords, the stronghold of the zephyrs. We're going to see what her message is. Ace of Pentacles. It's almost like with this, it's almost like, in order to experience something new, we almost have to be new. We have to be new before the experience of new comes in. And where's my phone? Hey Siri, where you at? Hey Siri. Oh, it's right here. Wow. Didn't even listen. Rude. So let's get into this. Who's on top? Page of Swords. So, is this double? It is. So let's see. This is gonna be sword, 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 sword. Double Lake. Is that Abyss? Is Double Lake Abyss? No, Double Water is Abyss. What is Double Lake? Double Lake is 58 mirth. Be careful not to let merriment devolve into debauchery. Yeah, debauchery. I thought I said that word wrong. I was like, debauchery. I was like, yeah, it's debauchery. Lecherous and debaucherous fools, them all. 58, right? Yep, mirth and a joyous exchange. Inner light shines outward, a small sacrifice in the moment to ensure greater gains later. An auspicious omen proceeding on your endeavor. An auspicious omen proceeding on your endeavor will yield a fortuitous outcome. However, the oracle offers a gentle warning. Joy must be controlled and sincere, and every space of that joy occupied equally with humility. Do not let merriment degenerate to debauchery. To maintain joy, maintain lively intellectual discourse with your equals. Learning on your own is not enough. Amplify that education by studying further with others. To seek joy is to seek discourse that will advance your body of knowledge. And to me, I mean, long and short of that, it just seems that, like, if you want to feel good, if you want to feel great, if you don't want to feel limited, burdened, or restricted, whatever, it's fine. But eventually you have to face things, right? You can't be on vacation forever. And if you're on vacation forever, then it's no longer vacation. It just is what it is now. And it's this energy, like, especially with temperance coming out, it's like we have to transmute, we have to heal, we have to balance, we have to correct for what needs to be corrected. We can't just ignore it and move on and think that it's going to go away. Like I said so many times earlier, if your pipes are busted or broken or whatever in your house, you have to call someone to fix it. You don't just turn the faucet and expect water to come out. And even if you do, water's not going to come out. And I feel like sometimes we come into this space of, like, being these master manifestors or whatever, and we're manifesting water out of these broken pipes. And maybe you got a trickle in the past, but we're in an energy now where we need to actually fix things. And so it ain't necessarily going to work the same, especially if we want to come into something new, something greater, or something better. We don't come into a whole new world by ignoring what's come to the surface to be addressed in the current one. Because if we ignore it here, it's just going to persist into the other one. So it's like, it's like, you got to fix this. I don't know. What was the bottom of the deck? Oh, it was the initiate. Yeah. If you want something new, you got to take care of the old. And that snake is not going to be able to carry that egg across that chasm. It's just not. The egg is too heavy. So the little bird inside of the egg is going to have to hatch and learn how to fly if it wants to get across the chasm. Because life, the snake, it will move on without us, and it will leave us there, because it's not life's responsibility or duty to take anyone anywhere. It's our job to grow, heal, and mature into someone capable of manifesting, maintaining, and holding that experience ourselves. The world doesn't have an obligation to give you what you want. It really doesn't. And it's like, it's nice that it does. But again, sometimes it gives it to you in a way that gets you to get it for yourself. And when that happens, there are things that you got to do. There are things that you got to do. So I'm only going to roll these two. I'm not going to roll all of them, because then if I do, I'll be here for a whole nother 20 minutes. Oh my gosh. we got 3 again. Are these dice? Is this die weighted? 3 again. Girl, I might have to use another set next time. That would have been mutable signs again. So here we have the elements of air and the sacral. With air and the sacral, again, it's that throat sort of energy of needing to be able to speak the things that we wish to create, because it is the breath that is the vehicle for those manifestations into the reality. It's the breath. That's the space through which we exchange. And there is some level of subtle exchange that happens in an energetic way from the mental and the astral and whatever. But in the physical 3D, it primarily occurs on the breath. And so if these are things that we can't even say to ourselves, admit to ourselves, or speak as if they are, then they will never be. Or it will be a lot more difficult for them to be. But that's what I got today. We're using the light blue background, which is the color of the throat. Interesting. That wasn't planned, obviously. Not obviously, but you know, I can't necessarily plan the cards that come out or the numbers that come off of the dice. But Daiki was justice, right? Or an embodiment of justice. But Daiki justice feels more like it said it's societal norms and conventions, right? So that's not necessarily a more like cosmic justice. Um, that sort of seems like, oh, I should have talked about that for Virgo. If you're a Virgo and you're still watching this, with Daiki, it's about contextual justice, right? It's about law instead of justice. I'd say Daiki is more about law. And maybe, who was it? Who was the other one? I don't remember. Themis, her mother, is more about justice. Because laws can permit certain things that justice would never stand for. And in that mismatch, it gets us to sort of behave in certain ways, or even if we know that we're breaking the law, and it's like, well, it's not illegal if you don't get caught. It's like, no, it's still illegal. It doesn't matter if you get caught or not. It's still illegal. It doesn't matter if we're punished for it in an external way or not. We should still hold certain rules or codes of decency to each other. And it's in violating those that we sort of set ourselves back, maybe in ways that we don't even necessarily think that we are. And when we talk about the power of the dollar and what people will do for a dollar, then you can basically throw any kind of ethics and moral out the window. Everyone has a price, right? Stuff like that. I mean, it matters somewhere. It holds weight somewhere, and there are certain things that cannot be bought. That's why it's easier to pass a camel through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man or woman or person to get into heaven, according to the Bible. Because if you have a price and you can be bought, currency doesn't work in the afterlife or in a space of transition. Now, value, things of value will work, but money in and of itself doesn't really hold any value. Right? That's why it's backed by the gold standard. It's the gold that holds the actual value. The dollar is a piece of paper that represents the gold that holds the value behind it. So, I don't know. That's what I got. I hope you have a good whatever, whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make the good better, the better, great, the great, wonderful, the wonderful, fantastic, the fantastic, amazing, and the amazing miraculous. Because for those who believe and align with such is possible. And more than possible, such occurs and like actually happens. Are you ready to receive it? Are you able to receive it? Can you even recognize it when it comes in? I don't know. Those are your questions.